Hola, hola, buenos días a todos y bienvenidos, como comentaba mi compañero José, a este casi penúltimo panel de la mañana. Hace 18 años, CaixaBank conjuntamente con Enisa lanzamos los premios Emprende 21 y una de las actividades que más ponen en valor o que más les gusta a las empresas y que más les apoya es esa formación internacional que hacemos con los ganadores de cada edición. Desde el año pasado, y gracias a la colaboración que CaixaBank tenemos con el MIT en Cambridge, la formación de estos emprendedores la hacemos basada allí en Boston. Entonces, es una muy buena oportunidad para ellos para conocer este ecosistema, poder compartir pues un poco con los líderes, ¿no?, que están impulsando la innovación a nivel global y poder pues, conseguir, ¿no?, abrir la mente, pensar en grande y ayudarles en sus proyectos. So now I'm going to switch in English because we have here with us two companies that are based or helped by the MIT in Cambridge. They are coming from different parts of the world, and well, one of them they are based here in Bilbao, but in the program, but participating in several programs with MIT, and then the other one just came from San Francisco in order to, well, to explode, no? And to be present here in 4 years from now with us. So the first company that I'm going to introduce, and well, the format of the panel, we're going to have the two companies do a short pitch so that we know what they're doing and what they're focusing on. And then we will deep dive more in a conversation about innovation, entrepreneurship, and what it's like to be part of the community such as the MIT. So the first company, I'm going to call Anton Caballero. He's the CEO of Heuristic, and he's going to present their project. Welcome, Anton.
Thank you, Vanessa. First, I'm gonna try if it works. Yeah, perfectly. So my name is Anton Caballero, and I'm the founder and CEO of Heuristic. I just have 2 minutes to show you that this company is gonna be the next Spanish unicorn. So let's go. So we started with Heuristic 5 years ago because a nurse made a wrong identification error of my grandfather. Basically, they thought that my grandfather was another guy and provide him with the incorrect drug. Like my grandfather in Europe, we have over 500 million patient identification errors a year with a market cost of over 200 billion euros. And in the US, there are over 600 million identification errors with a cost of over $1 trillion. But why are these identification errors happening? Basically because of the current patient identification solutions, the identification cards and the healthcare bracelets. They wear off, they commit fraud, they can provide the wrong bracelet to the patient, etc. So we have created Heuristic. Heuristic is the first company in the world that is able to identify and manage patients with fingerprints. So we combine artificial intelligence with fingerprint identification to identify the patient in all kinds of circumstances. Our magic is in the artificial intelligence because this is something that no one else have been able to do, which is basically identify fingerprints when they are wet, dirty, bloodstained, etc. And we are GDPR and HIPAA compliant because we never have access to the patient's information. We have been part of the largest healthcare acceleration programs all over the world. This is why we are here, because we've been in multiple acceleration programs from the MIT. We have raised over 1.3 million euros, mostly in grants and awards, and and currently we are raising a 1.4 million euro round, and we already have 650 committed. So my last image is basically if you are an investor or someone from the healthcare environment, happy to connect, because the WHO says that 1 out of 10 patients is going to be wrongly identified. So we are tackling this problem with our solution. So thank you for listening.
¿Me ponéis? Ahora. So thank you, Anton, for your presentation, and congratulations for the project. Now the second startup, they're coming from San Francisco, and they are listed as the top 10 AI startups from the MIT ecosystem. So I'm welcoming Fadi Mikelian, the CEO of Spardit.
Thank you, and thank you for having us here. I'm going to try in a few minutes to tell you what we've done that has changed AI. Our goal is to teach machine to make decisions, and to make decisions like human, not like AI. What's a decision? In order to make a decision, you essentially have a set of criteria, and you have to weigh them off. And weighing those criteria is critical to making those decisions, because those trade-offs are very personal. This is why we can hyper-personalize the results of any decision. Computers in the past were not good at doing trade-offs. So the way we do it is we look at AI. And AI is great, because AI, if you have data and you know nothing about a subject, it works. Data is your new code. It's fantastic. But in the past, we've spent years learning and building expert knowledge. Imagine what we could do if you take expert knowledge and AI and merge them together. Now you get into a new realm of intelligence. You get into the decision intelligence. That's what we do. So let's talk about how we make these decisions. When you make a decision, the first thing you have is you have a set of criteria. You look at the criteria and you say, based on those criteria, and you can get them either from an expert who tells you those are my criteria, or we can do to ChatGPT or generative AI, and get the criteria. Once you have the criteria, it's very critical to understand how you think about those criteria. That's where you put the criteria behavior, and you parameterize those criteria behavior. That means you ask the user how they think about those criteria. And finally, and this is the key thing in decision, you overlay that with trade-offs. You say what's important, what's not. And based on that, you're going to get significantly better results. This is some of the results that we're getting. This is a benchmark at one of our customers that did an A/B test before purchasing our product, where we came up at 1, their baseline was 1, that's what their current system was. We came up at 1.84x conversion rate. That means they make 1.84 times better decision, increase 1.84 times their sales. That's compared, for example, to Google, that came up number 1, that was below 50%, better than Salesforce, below 20%. That's what we can deliver.
Okay. You can keep it. Thank you. Thank you, Fadi, and thank you, Anchon. I'm now gonna welcome both to join me for to further the discussion about the projects, about how they are shaping the future in innovation, and of course, how is to be part of a thriving ecosystem such as the one at MIT. So maybe, Anchon, maybe can you both elaborate a bit better what's like to be part of the MIT ecosystem? What's the process? How did you get there? And some, I don't know, some context or ideas?
Yeah, for us, actually, was like discovering a new world, because we were used to the Spanish environment, not the US environment. So we've been there in a couple of acceleration programs in Boston. So for example, with Mars Challenge, MIT, and big players. And for us, like working with MIT was a game changer, because first of all, we obtained our first paying customer with them. Actually, it was one Polish hospital. And also in the US, they opened us many doors for us. Like we were able to start having conversation with the Veterans Hospital, with the VA, with Mayo Clinic, and also with Brigham, which is the hospital of the Harvard Medical School. So for us, it was like to discover a new market and how the things are done in the US.
Okay, which I guess that is very different, from Europe and Spain. Maybe that's also
Thankfully.
like a learning point,
Exactly.
on how different markets and ecosystems work. Is it? Do you think that is like a more collaborative environment? Because one of the things that for me was I was amazed, when we were in Boston last year, is like how government institutions, corporations, other startups, they collaborate a lot, and it's very open. Everyone is open to meet.
So for example, that's totally true. In the US, everyone tries to help you. But here also in Catalonia, it happens the same. everyone tries to help other startups. There is like a really nice ecosystem. Everyone is super nice with other people. Maybe not in the rest of Spain, but what I see is like the US is what it is because the investors understand that they need to help startups. Startups understand that they need to deliver for the investors. So it's like a kind of like the perfect environment to create companies and make them rich.
It's like a virtuous circle, no?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you nailed it, no? The thing of Catalonia and concrete here in Barcelona. I think we have the potential to become one of the top hubs in the world. We are one of the top hubs in Europe, but we're working to...
But it's because of the people. I mean, normally it's not usual to find so many people that are willing to help you, you know? But I think that it's part of the DNA.
Okay, we have it in the DNA, and so does the US companies, no, have it in the DNA to be very thriving. So, Fadi, how has been your experience? You are based in San Francisco, so maybe for you was easier, no, to get in contact with the MIT environment. But can you explain a bit that process?
Absolutely. And if you don't mind, I'm going to use. I'm going to use a small anecdote. That's a very personal anecdote. Before going to MIT, I had to bribe the mainframe administrator to get another bunch of my punch cards run through the system. I'm aging myself now, but essentially to get access to the mainframe, it was really difficult. I went to MIT, and I got selected to be part of the research assistant on detection of the underground fluid. So essentially the idea was to find where there is oil leaks, where there is water leaks, etc. How can you find things under the ground? And for 3 months, my best friend was Schrödinger. It was all about wave propagation. And after that research, I presented to my advisor, and he was like, yeah, this is good. Let's test it now. And I was like, what do you mean test it now? This is the results. And to test it, we need millions of dollars. He's like, yeah, that's it. Let's test it. And we end up building a bucket of sand, a huge bucket of sand, where we had an infrared machine that would run on top, and we had a lot of sensors inside, and we had a pipe, and the pipe would leak some liquid that would put oil, and then we'd measure, right? We'd use the sensor to measure the leak, and I had my own computer. I could print on my own computer on the screen, X's and zeros. I mean, this is way back then, right? And I could see the map of liquid, and I can validate it. And it was very impressive. I mean, we even had rented time on satellite to validate our theory. It's access to resources that set MIT apart. But then you ask my mother, she came for my graduation, and she looked at the bucket of sand, and she was not very impressed. She was like, when you were 5-year-olds, I would take you to the playground and you'd play with a bucket of sand. After so many dollars spent at MIT, that's what you still do? But the reality is that if you look at our experience as a startup, we had a great experience at MIT. MIT gave us access to their professors, to their faculty. One of the faculty, which is we do, as you can tell, we do recommendation engines. The World Authority in Recommendation Engine is a professor from MIT. He wrote the book on recommendations. It's Professor Schrage. After we show him what we did, he asked me, can you show me the math underneath? And we sat down, and in a session of a couple of hours, we did that. And he's like, I like that. I'm going to join your company as an advisor. You can count me. And he became one of our advisors. And this is the World Authority. I mean, obviously, I was dancing that day. I called my wife. I'm like, and then another area is we hired 2 people from MIT. And for us, 2 people is we're a startup. So we have access to the student for recruiting. We have access to their labs and research. We can use that in our company. So we can shortcut a lot of the work. That's how we can get the results that we're getting. And finally, I think we have access to events like this that gives us exposure. And 3 of our customers came from event like this. And they include the largest healthcare company in the US. They include one of the largest the number 1 or 2, depending on the time, airplane manufacturer. Right?
Okay, and if I think that it's like a very thriving ecosystem. If you would have to choose, no, like one is that main innovation that you are working in the companies that is going to shape and change the future. What's the main innovation, for instance, maybe?
like the main innovation to shape the future.
Yeah, that you're working on with
Yeah.
your company.
So, for example, in our case, we really think that in the next 5 years or 6 years, all of the hospital or most of the hospitals across the world are going to be using biometrics. Because it doesn't make sense not to use it. It's cheaper, it's more accurate, and it helps to identify patients in situations that they are not able to do it right now. So, for example, if you are involved in a car crash and you lose your wallet, they are not able to identify you. Or in the US, they have cases where a patient with the same name and same surname are in the room and they commit their own identification error. So, just to put this into perspective, 3 weeks ago in Czech Republic, 2 pregnant women went to a hospital. One of them wanted to make an abortion and the other one went for a check-in. They
Wow.
mismatched the identification and they make an abortion to the wrong woman.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
That's,
this shows that the new way to identify a patient is required. So maybe it's gonna be me, maybe it's gonna be another, or maybe we are gonna compete. But in 5 years, it doesn't make sense not to be using biometrics.
Yeah. And I think that this is going to be transversal to any industries, no? I think that correct identification, we have it in the banking industry as well, and especially well in the US that people usually only have one last name, no? It's even more difficult than here in Spain, that at least we have two. And in your case, Fadi, maybe you can connect this with some of the use cases that
Yep.
you are working on with
Absolutely.
your clients.
So I'm going to give you 2 use cases. The first one is the hospital, the largest not hospital provider in the U.S., which is this chains of hospitals, came to us and they kept nagging us like, we want to use your technology. They saw us at an event at MIT, and for a long time I'm like, don't bother me. I'm focused on e-commerce. And then one day I told them, look, by respect, I'm going to train you. You go build it. They came back and said, a month later, and they built their own application using our platform. And they called us back on a call, and there was 10 doctors, and they were all excited about the solution. And I asked them, why are you excited? They're like, the biggest thing that we are working on in the healthcare is SDM, shared decision making, where the doctor and the patient work together. Today, our patients have 20 minutes to make a decision. And they don't really make a decision. The doctor dictates what the medical report. Imagine if you could use criteria and trade-off, have a set of criteria that are medical criteria, and have a set of criteria that are personal criteria, right? What do you care about? And based on that, you're going to get significantly better answers. For the same medical diagnosis, someone who's sensitive to pain, someone who wants to avoid to lose their hair, might have a very different outcome and treatment than someone who doesn't care about pain, whose only care is get better and get better as soon as they can. That's the same medical condition that have 2 very different treatment, because suddenly they start caring about their own personal data. In the other example I'm going to use is e-commerce. In e-commerce, we are completely changing the privacy data economy. You should not let those big companies use their private data without being penalized. We are about engage the customer, ask them what they care about, ask them what their trade-off is. The whole point of the internet is that it's interactive. Don't forget that. Don't let AI guess for you. Use AI in your recommendation, but let the consumer drive it. Don't steal their data.
Okay, we are almost running out of time, but I wanted also to raise like a last question to both of you, and it's like, okay, you are in the healthcare business, so that what's the main challenges, no? What you're going to be facing, no? Like if you put forward the year 25 and 26, no? What are your main challenges, and also for you, no? What's going to be the main challenges and focus for the coming 2 years?
Yeah, so from our side, we want to publish the first paper in the world demonstrating that the biometric technology can reduce the patient identification errors and be cost efficient. This is going to be something breakthrough because it hasn't been done before. And also this year we are applying to grants worth 4 million. So we are applying to the EIC Accelerator, which is the largest and most competitive grant in Europe. Hopefully we will pass the loan proposal. And yeah, and if everything goes as planned, we will have the paper. We will be implemented in around 7 different countries in Europe, and yeah, scaling to the US and Canada.
So future looks bright.
Yeah, if we raise the money, yes.
Again, in your
For
turn.
us, I'd say the biggest impediment to growth is inertia. Essentially, when you are revolutionizing AI, people like AI, they're using AI. It's very difficult to change their mind about it. It's very difficult to tell them, we're going to do AI without data, without private data. We're going to use logic. That is a foreign concept. So it's really inertia, and inertia ties back to money, 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 right? How do you compete with Google? They've got tons of money. They throw more money at you. They throw more salespeople than you can ever think of to the same problem. And it's about winning those A/B tests one after the other.
So yeah, so well, yeah, as a summary, no, I think that being in an ecosystem, no, like the Mati is very thriving and supportive, but we also have this here in Catalonia and in Barcelona, no, Heuristic knows it well. Fadi, no, coming from abroad, has maybe more to learn, no, from also here. But yeah, so I wanted to thank both of you for being with us today, and I hope that you stay the rest of the day with us. And thank you all for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa, for hosting us.